More than 180 current and former FEMA employees have signed a letter criticizing the administration's efforts with FEMA. 36 signed their names, and of that 36, 30 are now suspended with pay, which continues to be a problem with the Trump administration, that if you dare speak out in any way, you will be punished.
And the real problem here is that these FEMA employees, the ones that are currently there and see what's happening day to day, they're warning that we are not prepared for natural disasters. If we have something horrific happen in the United States, we're still in hurricane season. Typically, this is the time of year when it starts to heat up a little bit in hurricane season. If something happens, these employees say, we really cannot help you in the way that FEMA has in the past. And they basically compare it to the 2005 response from the Bush administration at the time to Hurricane Katrina. Absolute failures across the board due to massively incompetent FEMA leadership led by Michael Brown at the time. And they're saying, we're headed back to that. If we get a natural disaster, it's going to be Katrina 2.0. And that is horrific, not just for those of us on the Gulf Coast in hurricane paths, but for any disaster across the country. Some of these people suspended are actually the ones working on the Texas flood response. And now Texas has even fewer people responding because of this.
Well, and I was going to point out the Kerr, Texas response killed over 100 people, many of those children, and there's several failures in the system that led up to this. Alerts didn't go out, and these people drowned very tragically. And there was some early attempts to find where the system failed, but of course Republicans on the state and national level said, oh, you're weaponizing this tragedy, and high-roaded folks. And it seems to have just completely left the public consciousness that over 100 people died due to largely ineptitude in our failures, the governmental failures. They continuing to say that they may do away with FEMA or they'll restructure FEMA. This should be a state thing. And while all this is happening, to your point, we're in the middle of hurricane season for what forecasters are considering an above average year for hurricanes, plus not to mention the tornadoes and storms that we see throughout the rest of the country. I mean, hurricanes are your big ticket items, but you could have earthquakes, all sorts of things. And it seems like this administration's a plague unto itself. But they're worried about suspending people who criticize them.
Right, and already in the northern part of America, we're starting to see the Arctic winds blow in. We could have an earlier than usual winter for, some of these very northern states there. Snowstorms happening potentially in September and October. We need FEMA to function. The states do not have the financial resources, then they do not have the manpower, and they do not have the type of training that these FEMA officials do. Turning this over to the states, even if you just take FEMA's money and start giving it out to states, that's not going to work. What's going to happen is you have a lot of states around this country, a lot of them down here in the Deep South, right in Hurricanes Way, that run massive budget deficits. They cannot afford the basic necessities for their states. If they start getting extra cash from the government, what they're going to do is they're going to hold special legislative sessions, reappropriate the funds, take it away from FEMA, and use it to fix their budget problems. So this is not a solution, and that is what the administration wants to do. Trump said earlier in the summer, at the end of hurricane season, I want to get rid of FEMA. So it is something that's coming. I don't think he can do that. You'd have to have Congress, but they'll do it for him in a heartbeat.
Well, and speaking of poor allocation of FEMA dollars, obviously DeSantis in Florida allocated hundreds of millions of dollars to build that concentration camp in the Everglades that is now shut down. So clearly states can't be trusted. And to your point too about training, even the head of FEMA does not have emergency response training, which is something that a lot of these folks are criticizing because by law, you are supposed to have emergency response experience and training to be in charge of FEMA. This man doesn't. Famously said he did not know hurricanes hit the United States. He later said that was a joke. I don't think it was a joke.
No, that is not something to even joke about. But you also have Kristi Noem, who runs Homeland Security, which FEMA is a part of. She won't allow any contract to be granted for disaster relief in the middle of a disaster over $100,000 unless it has her signature on it. So that is what many believe held up a lot of the response in Texas. And if that is the case, I mean, $100,000 for immediate emergency response, you're going to go through that multiple times per day, day and night, when you have a disaster. You know, you and I have both lived through plenty of these to understand the financial costs associated with them usually topping into the billions, if not hundreds of millions at least.